I'm BrianVee, and this is Why We Work. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Nicole Fortner. She is a home retailer. Also, she's a mom, and she is a wife. I like to find out how she has this in balance, what she does each day to stay productive, and what is her motivation to keep going, to keep working, even when times are tough. So join me today in this conversation with Nicole Fortner. I'm BrianVee, and this is Why We Work. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking to Mrs. Nicole Fortner. Good day, young lady.
Good day, fine sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Nicole Fortner, for doing this with me. If anyone wants to check my previous interviews, I did have the honor of interviewing your husband, Mr. Clifford Fortner, previously. But this
Yes.
is not about him. This is about you. So I do appreciate you taking the time. It is almost 11 p.m. your time. Um,
Yeah, not bad.
so I appreciate you. And Nicole, why don't you do us a favor? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get the ball rolling from there.
A little bit about me. A mom, a wife. Um, I We're living in North Carolina. Husband's in the army, so I'm an army wife. What else about me that's interesting? I'm a triplet, so that's pretty cool. Um, I don't know. I homeschool my children. So I'm also, I guess, a teacher besides a mom. And I don't know. I enjoy going to the beach.
Long walks on the beach.
Short walks on the beach. I more enjoy sitting and enjoying the water and the sun.
Sometimes I tell my children take a long walk off a short pier and those sorts of things. Nicole, way back when, what was your first job? What was the first thing you did? And it may not be a job. I have some people get stumbled up on that question and think, oh, I didn't do anything until college, but I had a lemonade stand. That's what I'm looking for. Something that got you out. It may not have been an official job. I think I find some people who are hesitant, like, it was under the table, and they get a little nervous talking about it. I mean, say what you want. But what was the first thing you ever did to venture out? Uh, whether it was for $1 or just for some voluntary experience.
The first thing I ever did, I think that allowed me to earn money was I was 14 and I can't remember what they called it, but like my parents had to approve it or whatever.
Mm.
And it was at a daycare. And so I wasn't like, I guess, because like you had to be like at least 16 to get it like an official job. I mean, it was a job,
Mm-hmm.
um, work permit job or something like that, maybe, but it was at a daycare.
So at 14, why did you want to get out and work? I mean, you mentioned you're triplets. So
Yeah.
did your other two sisters get out first? Were you guys ladies trying to save up for something?
Well, we all three did it at the same time, actually.
Okay.
So, um, we wanted to make more money because we wanted to have spending money. We didn't have a lot growing up, and so we wanted to have something for ourselves. And also, it was a lot of my parents' idea because they wanted us to be able to help financially around the house.
That's
So
interesting.
just
That's Yeah.
was supporting things.
I,
So
I mean, you think about it with triplets up until you said 14. So you were kids. You had your own little daycare at your house, like
yeah,
with three
which
three
was,
little girls running around, and then boom.
and then my brother, my brother's only 13 months older than us.
Okay, so you
So,
had the four of you plopping around in the house, and then at 14, you're like, okay, let's all work together in a daycare. How did you work?
well, they actually didn't. They actually got separate jobs. They didn't do a daycare job with me.
Oh, not the
So
same, but they all got
that
out
was
and
just
got a
like the
job.
one I picked.
Okay. And
Hmm.
did that
Hmm.
lead into anything else? I mean, even thinking now, you say you're a stay-at-home mom and you're doing homeschooling, so that's kind of along the same lines. Did it lead to any natural path for you after 14 up into high school?
Not really. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot of like babysitting jobs or anything
Mm,
because of that. I actually ended up getting another job soon after that. That was more like summertime for that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And then, um, but I mean, I don't know. I think I had a passion for children. Like I love doing work in our Sunday school and being over the children's in our church, and
Yes.
that's something that I've always enjoyed doing. So
So I know in college you went and took interior design, correct?
yeah, yeah, I have a
Where
bachelor's degree in interior design.
where did that path come from? So obviously you decided before you went in, or you switched. I guess you could have switched majors, but where did that um, artistic passion come out? At what age did you decide that might be for you?
Well, really, I always liked designing stuff. I can remember like even being in like third grade and like drawing girl figures with dresses on them and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and just the design aspect of things I think I've always enjoyed. I even remember in high school, my mom, she came home with these architectural markers for just rendering and stuff, and I was when we first when long story, but my family moved
Mm-hmm.
from the West Coast to Arkansas, and um, my parents and my grandparents worked on a floor plan house, just schematics for a house that they were going to build for us. And I thought that was cool, just even like doing it on like graph paper and stuff like
Yeah.
that, just writing it out and stuff. So, but I remember like when my mom brought these architectural rendering pins home, I thought, oh, this is super cool. And so I even thought, even before doing interior design, maybe doing architecture. And then I
Mm-hmm.
thought graphic design for a while, but then I don't know, something about the home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of did the interior design route.
So after finishing or even during the interior design program that you took, were you thinking of something that you wanted to do? Or even did you attempt to get into that, or were you in that for a little while?
I, well, I
What was
really
your
wanted to be
plan?
like, my plan was to be like a big name designer and like live in New York. That was like my plan.
Well, you're on the East
um,
Coast now. You're not far. You're in North
it's
Carolina now, I think. You're not totally far from it.
not too far. I don't know. I like the aspect of making spaces just better for people,
Hmm.
and just using even just what they have and just seeing things that they don't see. Um, I just like it a lot. And so I just wanted that, and I knew that I could make good money doing it, and that was important for me.
Hmm.
And it's just fun, and it was easy, and it just came naturally too, which was nice.
So did you have a next step plan nearing your graduation?
Yeah, I mean, I had worked for an architect firm my senior year,
Yes.
which was really great because I got to see the commercial side of design. I really liked focusing on the residential side, and but it was really cool to be able to see the just the commercial side of. We did um some banks. We did actually got to go to the Air Force Base a couple times, and help do um the different materials that they would need for the room that they do the aviation
Hmm.
things in there and stuff. And
Hmm.
so that was really neat to be able to
Simulation
experience
programs and
that.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was really cool to experience that. But my plan really was um, just to find a good job, um, and eventually just get to New York. And I don't know why I wanted New York. I guess everything happens in New York. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but I wanted to get out of Arkansas, and just I was the first to graduate and my family, and I just wanted to do something for myself.
So how did life kind of change your plans? What happened there?
Oh man, I met Cliff.
And
Dang.
that was the most wonderful, unforeseen plan
Yes.
you've ever not had.
Yeah, I met my husband and it was not my plan at all. And
But
we
I mean,
actually
that's
went,
funny though, Nicole, not to interrupt. I mean,
yeah,
life happens.
it
And,
really
we
does.
have these wonderful plans all the time. And, we
Hmm.
don't take into account the things that, are not on our radar, unforeseen events. And you can
Yeah,
plan
because I was not looking.
you can plan the unforeseen events, but that gets in the way of the plan.
Mhm.
And so after graduation, how long before you met Cliff, or even into graduation?
Holy smokes. I graduated no or May 6th, I think I graduated in 2002. And not 2002, 2006. I graduated high
Mm-hmm.
school in 2000. I'm
Mm-hmm.
revealing my age now.
It's okay.
So
You're young, I know.
um so 2000 May of 2006, and I met Cliff the day before his birthday, May 8th. We met.
In 2006,
Like, yeah.
you had no wiggle room for your plan.
I'm like, man.
You couldn't even get the wheels off the runway. You were like stopping.
Well, I did, there was a space I had. So backtrack a little. I did go to a missions and prayer school
Mhm.
after I graduated college, which while I was in college was not my plan, but that was definitely God's plan. I definitely had a very much just a calling for that, I believe, because it worked out and it was what happened and it was awesome. And so and that was hard for my parents to understand because they're like, no one's gonna hire you, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, it's fine, then I'll be able to feel and see what I actually had a couple jobs lined up in California when we went to the missions and prayer school. I was going to design a kitchen for a woman, and then I was actually going to work with a company that designed decks and stuff like that, so that was pretty cool.
It's funny too because you have your plan and then you have your parents' plan. They're like, "Oh, you got to get a job," and neither one of them was according. We can will it all we want, but if it's not in the
No,
cards,
none of my plans happened. None of them.
not yet, not yet. I interviewed a lady the other
Not yet.
day.
Who knows?
I interviewed a lady the other day, and she wrote a sentence 20 years ago to start a book, and she just finished it this year and got it published. I mean, like she had a few
Wow.
manuscripts written over the last couple of years, I guess, but it finalized and she got it published just recently. 20 years later, her dream or hope came true. So you have time.
Never too late.
So
Yeah.
when
I
you
mean,
met the love of your life, how long before you guys were married and how long before your plans, at the moment got put on the back burner? Now you have this new plan before you.
I mean, I guess for most people, honestly, pretty fast. We met in May. He proposed in July, June,
See, he knew love
June.
at first sight. He knew right away.
He did. He really did. And he knew he wasn't going to get anybody better. I'm just kidding.
No, that's good. It's true.
Um, and then we got married in
Which
December.
means
And
it's good
so,
for you. It's not like he has this other standard. Just he got the right one.
yeah, yeah. And so, 6 months? And then it was weird afterwards, after we got married, because we had both went to California together. Like, that's where we thought, and we even thought that's where we were going to be, was in San Diego. And that just was not what God had planned for us. And so I ended up because we didn't know where we were going to be, we just got some jobs to like provide for our family. And so he got a job at Walmart. I got a job at Lowe's working in interior section, which was great, you know,
Yeah.
like paint, window treatment, stuff like that, stuff I could be good at. And then I don't know, one day he was like, I think I'm gonna join the army. And it was not what I wanted. And God was like, well, what about what I want? And I'm like, dang it, why do I gotta listen to you? And so he joined the military. I got pregnant, and the rest is history. I'm just kidding.
But well, I mean, this is 2000. When did he join? 2007, 2008?
2007, August 2007.
So, I mean,
So
he's 13 years in now,
yeah,
right?
it's
That's
crazy.
a pretty good thing,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
there was a few times I feel like he just didn't know if he wanted to stay in, and I'm like, whatever, we are staying, and you
Yeah,
chose this job, you're retiring
you're
from the
beyond the
army.
point of no return now. So now you have 3 children,
Yes.
and you've been to many bases. We met
Yep.
in South Korea it was 2008, wasn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
it was 2008 because
Hmm.
as soon as he joined the military, you guys were deployed. Your first place was coming to Korea, and then we met you guys, and
Yeah.
that was wonderful. Still, just before this, we were saying we're going to talk more often. We did when you guys first left us here alone, and
Hmm.
we talked more often, and then it just
We
dwindled
did.
down.
Hmm.
So that was kind of whirlwind. You had one of your children here, and your kids were
Actually, we had both
both
girls in Korea.
both
Hmm.
2008. Yeah, I guess our
Yep,
daughter's
I
around the
had.
same age as yours. Yeah.
So I guess maybe I think we may have had Madison when we met you, because I
Mm,
remember carrying Maddie around.
yeah.
So since she was born in 2009, so it was probably 2009, like fall of
Hmm.
2009, I think, or summer. I don't remember. It had to have been in 2009 though, because I had Maddie in March and we'd just gotten there in January of 2000. No, 2009 then. Yeah. Okay. So he got there December 2008.
Hmm.
That's
Okay, yeah.
because Jaden had just turned 1. Okay, so I always get my dates mixed up too, because he still says, "Oh, we've been in Korea since 2008," but really December
Yeah,
25th.
basically 2009.
So yeah.
So with 3 children now, being a military wife, as some say, how is the dust settled for you to where you are now, 13 years later? And I'd like to get into you're a home retailer as well, but how is it settling for you? So, maybe almost considered a housewife, except I know you're busy doing other things. When you
Mm,
originally had a plan of doing this, which is not off the table yet, but you had a different plan, your husband had a different plan, and then
mhm.
now you're 13 years later of starting the military, almost 7 years out from being retired. How has things settled and how does it look now?
I mean, it looks nothing like I thought it was gonna look.
Hmm.
If I like, but it's good. Um, it. I'm still nowhere near being a professional interior designer. The really cool thing is I've been able to actually help a lot of just military families
Hmm.
in just making their homes feel more like home. And so it's been more kind of a hobby, I guess. And I've just gotten to take care of my home, and I've had the opportunity to design our homes every time we've moved, and we've moved so much. So we've moved
You could start
so much.
your own business with just your own moves.
Yeah, just with my own moves. So in a way, I feel like the dust hasn't really gotten to settle too
Yeah.
much, just because we moved a lot. And so, and I think that also has kept me from really pursuing an actual like brick and mortar interior design job, just because just supporting Cliff and his career, and knowing that it's not going to last forever
Hmm.
is good. But I don't know, I guess it really hasn't nothing's really settled. We have our routine. Um, we know what it's supposed to look like, every day. Um, I don't know if that answers it as well as you
No, it
wanted
does.
it
And
answered.
so with your children as well, how is, I mean, maybe you can speak to homeschooling as well, because I know that you guys were um, on and off with the idea, and then
Yeah,
now you're obviously implementing it.
I didn't want to at first. I was like, that's not for me. Like, why would I ever do that? I have better things to do with my time. And Cliff has always been a huge advocate of homeschooling, um, of me homeschooling, not him. And
I
you
do
can
that to
do
my
all
dear
the
wife too.
things.
Like, it's a great idea for you to do.
Yes, yes. But I don't know. I think God really had to work on my heart and just molding me and just softening me toward it. And this past year, I've been through a lot with my mom passing and everything like that. And so this past year has been really good for me, just wanting to be close to them. Um, COVID kind of made it a lot easier too, just because, not wanting to send them to school. But we got a really good routine going on. We get up at 6 and do our chores, eat breakfast, all the things, and start school by 8. And we're done by 1:30. We even get to have an hour and a half lunch with Cliff when he comes home for lunch
Mm.
every day. And it's just really nice. And so we get really good afternoons to do just fun stuff. Like the girls love cooking with me. And so we get to do a lot of things together that I think are going to help them when they just grow up and get out of the house, and they're going to be able to take care of themselves and know how to do laundry and know how to cook food, and not just be helpless people that can't do anything for themselves. So, um, but I even asked them yesterday, I was like, because we started a new curriculum this year, and it's just really good, and it's got a lot of just biblical stuff in it, but it's definitely more like structured and school like, and they just like that. And so just being able to meet their needs in that too has been really awesome. But they love it. They love the structure, they love the 45-minute classes, and it just works well for us. And then we have the days where, like today, I had to go do a Walmart pickup. And so we had to stop for a little while, and that was fine because we could just pick up and go later instead of having to do catch up all the time. So it's just really nice. It's really nice to just have them around. And not even, I don't want them around because like I'm afraid of anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice just to be present in their lives, because I'm not going to have them for much longer. I mean, my oldest is 12, it's going to be 13 in January. And I'm like, holy smokes,
Slow
not
down.
many years after that, I'm not going to have them anymore, and I don't know where God's going to take them. And so I'm just enjoying it and realizing that, being a mom, being a stay-at-home mom, being a homeschooling mom is more of a privilege than it is what I used to think it was. It's a burden.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I used to feel and view it. And so, and I think that was God really changing my heart and just molding me and softening me. And um, I think just experience too of we've moved so much, and it's crazy because I
Yeah.
moved so much when I was a kid. I think God prepared me for being an Army wife.
Well, it's also, it is a privilege, but there's times when it feels like a burden.
Mm-hmm. No,
And
it's not. Everything's not perfect for sure.
but I think, I mean, not everyone has that opportunity. There's single
Mm-hmm.
moms, there's people in tough situations. Nicole, what I
Yeah.
was thinking is, I knew your mom passed away and my mom passed away this year. I hope you don't mind me asking, but I wonder,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a difficulty dealing with this, is feeling that I haven't succeeded yet, or I haven't um, reached my own goals yet, and wanting to show my mom. Do you have any of that thinking? Because you mentioned when you finished graduation, you were going to go to California, and your parents said, "Well, how are you going to get a job? You're not going to do that." And so they obviously had an expectation for you, and we don't always share the same expectations with our parents, but we also want to meet somewhere in the middle and say, "Yeah," and then good job, you finally got there. Do you have any of that sort of not anxiety, but angst or hope or wish that there was that possibility to say, "Hey, mom, look, I finally got to that place. What I'm doing now is good, but I kind of got to that top of the mountain, and I just want to show you, and show you how grateful." Do you think of those things at all?
I actually have, and not even just with like my bachelor's degree, but just in different things too, with whether it's my at-home business or whether it is doing a good enough job homeschooling or
Mm,
um, being a good wife, So, um, but I know that it was real important for my mom and my dad too, just to see me just succeed. And so, I mean, it hasn't been like anything that has really like super stressed me out or
mhm,
bothered me
mhm,
too
mhm.
much. But yeah, I mean, I have had those thoughts for sure.
Yeah,
And it's a bummer that
yeah, more of a bummer, right? Like sad, not so much anxiety. It's just like,
Mhm,
I see what what got me
mhm,
the first few months after my mom passed away is like looking at my children and my son or daughter writing something, and then I'm like, and I think of my mom, oh, I wish I can show
yeah.
those moments, those little tiny things. Or Benjamin just went to his first day of school this semester, and my mom died in September. Like, so to show a picture of first day of school for your grandson
Mhm,
does not exist.
mhm, yeah.
The thought kind of flips over as it does exist, and then I quickly squish it with the fact and the reality that it no longer. So yeah, bummer. Is it more like those bummer moments?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Madison got baptized, and like the first person I went to tell was my mom, and so I just, even though I knew she wasn't gonna read it, it was just more for comforting for me. I
Yeah.
just wrote, because my dad still has her Facebook activated.
Hmm.
I just wrote her a little message on Facebook Messenger, and it was more, for me. But yeah, definitely bummer moments. And yeah,
Yeah, they're tough. They are tough, and I hope they never go away, because even though they're bummer
yeah.
moments, they're still precious, and they're memories that
Oh yeah,
we know
for
that we
sure.
still loved our parents. So what does
Mhm.
a typical day or week look like for you, Nicole, including your retail business? So what is it that you're doing with that, and with your homeschooling, and taking care of your husband? What does it look like for you besides, I guess, the homeschooling part?
Um, okay, so I mentioned before we get up at 6, which I'm not a morning person, but God has been good to me there. We've had lots of tea and coffee. And then just getting them settled. The curriculum we're using is very not self-taught, but like you read the directions and you can
Hmm.
do the work.
Hmm.
And so Jaden and Madison are awesome. They're like so great at it, and don't they have questions every once in a while, so I can still do what I need to do, whether that's around the house or working the business and
Yep.
stuff. But Brooklyn takes a little bit more effort. Just she's younger, and so she's at a different learning level.
Hmm.
And so just balancing that. Um, I have slowed down a lot with my retailing business, um, just with everything that, just from really moving from
Hmm.
Louisiana to North Carolina, and getting a new clientele base, and then with mom passing and stuff, it just, life has happened. And so, but it's still nice to be able to work it and have people come over. And so um I think one thing I love about my retail business
What
is
is it specifically? I knew you were doing something else, but I also noticed unique.
Mary Kay.
Mary
So,
Kay, yes.
my oh gosh, how long have it? LuLaRoe is a
Yes.
women's clothing business, and I think it's been 4 years I've been doing it, and it's been pretty steady. It's cold in my house. Um, actually helped me be able to take my parents on vacation the summer before my mom passed away, and so I mean, Cliff provides very well for our family. So it's more
Mm-hmm.
just like it was more for me,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
for extra for the kids. Also, just I really enjoyed making women feel better about themselves in their clothing, in their makeup. I've always enjoyed. I always say I should have just gone to cosmetology school instead of $30,000 in debt with interior design degree,
Mm-hmm.
but because I just love doing hair and makeup
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. I've always enjoyed that. But just really making women just feel confident and beautiful in who they are in their own skin. And so, and just building those relationships. And I mean, I've met so many women, and like, even if it's just over Facebook, like being able to just connect with them and relate with them. And like, I don't know how many women have reached out to me, like when my mom passed, and I can connect with them, or if they've gone through something, or like when the hurricanes happened in Louisiana and stuff like that. And just being able to connect with people where they've lived or what they're going through has been really nice and really awesome. So, but an average day working my business would be reaching out, sending emails, occasional phone calls, no more than an hour or two. I mean, it was very part-time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and definitely doing like super fun Facebook lives at night. And those could last anywhere between 30 minutes and sometimes 2 hours, depending
Mm-hmm.
on who hopped on, because every day was different because everybody else's schedules look different than mine too. So, and now with doing Mary Kay, it's been a slow start just because of COVID-19, and not having people come into your home and stuff like that. But it's slowly and steadily changing, and it's just fun. It's just fun, and it's stuff I can actually do with my girls too, and it's just extra, and just being impactful and being able to use something as simple as skincare or makeup or a pair of leggings to be able to impact somebody's life, I think is pretty cool.
Every time I think,
Especially with being an
go
army
ahead.
wife and
Yeah.
moving so much. Oh, especially just being an army wife and moving around so much, and that kind of being in a way instability, with the job. And so you can just take LuLaRoe or Mary Kay with you wherever you go.
Every time I think of Mary Kay, I think of the pink Cadillac. So
Yes.
hopefully you get yours. It's the thing that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. Meeting you guys, and there's a couple of other families that we were both friends with while in Korea that turned my attention and my appreciation for the military. People can say whatever they want about government and military and all this other stuff, but and even my dear wife, who was even more attracted to the military, is because at least it may not be as tight as you want with all people, but the community that is there at your disposal in the military, it seems invaluable. And for wherever you are able to continue to make friends as close as you want, or keep them at distance, but it's still within your community. And that's what
Yeah.
I appreciated the most about the military, and it made us like envious of saying, hey, I wish we could do that. And that's
Yeah.
one thing. I think you probably have other customers as well, but wherever you go, you'll be able to have at least a base of customers that that
Mhm.
will be there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to build them up, but that's part of a job. So,
And it's good too, where you can keep going to these places. I mean, it's hard. It has to be difficult because you're in a
hmm
place, you build up some relationships, and then you move. But also, you
hmm
didn't disconnect those relationships, and you never know
yeah.
once everyone's brought back in all the people in the military retire. You might be close to someone
Yeah.
that you weren't close to for 12 years because you met them in some other different place.
Hmm.
Out of your homeschooling, being a stay-home mom, a military wife, your retail business, what is most difficult for you?
Let's see. What is the most difficult? Oh man, that's a loaded question. Uh,
Where do I pick
what
from?
I know. What can
What
I
is
say?
what is the one that kind of pokes its ugly head up the most?
Um, Probably homeschooling, honestly, even
Yeah.
though I love it so much. And I think it's more just insecurities in myself probably, and am I doing a good enough job? Are my kids going to be able to go to college because they've been homeschooled? Like
Mm.
just simple silly things really like that.
They're
And
common though, so
so
they're not that silly. It's just you're doing it
yeah.
for the first time in your life, so they seem like simple questions to you, but
Yeah,
they're
and
the
just
most common.
I'm not a very disciplined person, like, which is crazy because Cliff is so structured and disciplined. And like, okay, it's 5 o'clock, time to get up. I'm like, wait, no, wait. I want to get up at 9. What do you mean?
Mhm.
5. Like,
Mhm.
and so that also has been a difficult part. Even I feel so bad because sometimes my kids will be like, hey mom, you getting up with us? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting up. Let's go do the Pledge of Allegiance. And so that is because I'm not a structured person. And so it's in a kind of a way, even though it's been really hard, it's been really good too, because I have to be structured with homeschooling,
Mhm.
especially for their sakes. But and there's plenty of homeschooling families that just structure is not for them,
Mhm.
and that's great and that's fine. Everybody's different. Um, but yeah, the structure part and the getting up early and the feeling inadequate at times because dadgummit, what's a pronoun? How long has it been since I've been
Yeah.
in school? What's a pronoun?
Yeah.
So I would say out of all of that, probably homeschooling, I think.
I interviewed and I knew and I met her here because we have the program too of Robinson curriculum, and Cassidy Sloan, she does it here and she's out where we met. Well, no, not where we met, but where you guys were staying in Wagon. And the good thing about that, and I'm sure the program you're doing as well, there's probably an online community with people doing it. So just being honest, being open with some of these people and telling them, I think is probably a really good resource just for yourself. You don't have to tell your kids, well, this is where I'm going. I'm just trying to find some answers or just getting some relief or getting some encouragement. But it is an ongoing battle, and there, as you mentioned, it's silly
Mm.
questions, but they're not. You're
Yeah.
providing something, and this is not to encourage everyone to do homeschooling, but if you're doing it, it has very little to do with your ability to know the answers. It is your ability to be there. As simple as that. Like to be there, especially for, say you said
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn, because those are the hardest
Mm-hmm.
ages, right? Because once, at 12,
Yeah.
13, 14, if they've had any experience with it, and even if they didn't, if they're able to read a little bit, follow the instructions, and they know mama and papa mean business, that they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's that younger age, it's the constant grind of sit down, no, this is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And from our experience, because we do it continually with them in public school, um, is that's the hardest part, like for my dear wife, of that sit down, okay, we got to do it, and if you turn your head for a second or whatever, you have your own life, and I'll get into that too. What do you
Mm-hmm.
do to enjoy yourself? It's like you turn away and then the kid's not doing it, and then it's that happens every 20 minutes or long, so, even shorter periods of time or every day, then it gets discouraging, and then they're like,
Yeah.
I just want to send them to school so I could be done with it, right? But it goes back to being a privilege to, like, if I
Yeah.
don't see, our kids are growing so quickly. Everyone's children, they grow so quickly that if they go away
Yeah.
for a week, like you could actually not see them and recognize that they grew. I'm sure Jaden, because your husband is so tall, like in a week, if someone hasn't seen Jaden in a week, like you can see that he grew physically. And by you being there,
Yeah.
you're watching it. You don't notice he's growing. It's like you don't notice your hair is getting longer, except, hey, it was here and now it's here, but you don't see it. But that's like those grandparents that like, oh, last time I saw you, you were there. Now you're here. But you have that privilege of watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Then with that comes that burden.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's absolutely difficult. It's not uncommon. And I think if you're willing to do it, good. It's a good idea for you. You know, we try. It is tough,
Mm-hmm.
Nicole. It really is tough. And that's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, but it's super rewarding too. Like, just even today, like Madison, she was so nervous for one of her unit tests that she did, and she's like, "Don't tell me what I made, Mom, yet till you're all done." And just her anticipation, and
Uh-huh.
then being able to like see that she did a really great job. And even the times where, like, even when Brooklyn struggles, like, and not knowing or feeling, seeing herself feel inadequate, like she can't do something, being able to be there to encourage her and show
That's
her
what
that
it
she
takes.
can, like, really do it. And so yeah, there's definitely a lot
What's
of
the
reward.
program that you're using, or is it a mix? A lot of people use a mixed program, but
Well, we're not actually using, it's a really cool program. I can actually even just show you the box. It's called Alpha and Omega,
mhm.
and we're doing life packs. This is just his science. This
There's
one's
a lot of
Jaden's.
good
And
programs out
so
there. Yeah.
it's really good. They're doing Bible, math, science, history, geography, language arts, handwriting. But each subject comes with 10 different books, and they're unit books. And so they get to specifically focus on that certain topic in that unit. And then they take it's a life pack test over the whole unit. They have smaller tests, quizzes, and then they have their big test. And so, and then you go on your own pace. Sometimes like Jaden, he finished a whole thing in like two weeks, and they allow you like 3 to 4 weeks. And so
It's ahead.
it's a move at your own pace kind of thing too.
Yeah.
But it's a skill mastery, so they'll be mastered in what they're learning when they're done with it, if it's taught properly. So
I know
it's my
you
first
know.
year using it, and I like it.
I know you know this without me even saying it. And I don't mean to say it just to say it, but you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, looking back, you won't think of it as a difficulty. You will have cherished that time. Because at
Yeah.
the end, that's all it's going to matter. Look, you know, we've
Mhm.
taken degrees that mean very little. Hopefully, they mean something in the future, but little compared to the family time that we've had. And you and I would trade a lot of
Yeah.
things to spend, you know, one more day with a mother or some friend that has passed away. And the education, while
Yeah.
important, you know, it's good to know you would never trade the time in the future
Yeah.
that you had with your children now. So just try to keep
Yeah.
that in the middle.
Yeah.
So I said
Yes.
sit. Not that this is what you guys do, but this is our house. I said sit down. This you better. You're not going outside today, and those types of
Um,
things.
Today,
What?
well, we have 4 cats, and so I'm Brooklyn. I'm like, Brooklyn, stop playing with the cat. Don't play with that one either, or that one.
Oh, I couldn't do it. But you didn't say that one.
So, and it's just like in an instant, she's just like, wait, what? I'm like, Brooklyn, focus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like I don't know, it's a video of some sort. The dog pushing the rock, pushing the rock, pushing the rock. Ooh, squirrel. Just they get distracted on
Yeah.
anything. Out of all the frustrations that you might have, or the difficulties, what brings you the most satisfaction out of what you do on a regular basis?
I think just seeing my kids succeed. I think, um, I don't know, it just feels good. I feel like I did something good. I did something right. Um, I feel like when my kids succeed, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, And that really just brings me joy and happiness. And I don't know, when they listen, that brings me joy and happiness.
Yeah, we often look
um,
at, I get stuck on, you're not listening now, but the 23 hours and 30 minutes before that, they were actually listening. It's just this 30 minutes.
mhm.
We-
I know. I like laser focus on that 30 minutes though. Like, come
I know.
on.
I had to tell you so many times. It is tough
It
though.
was twice. It was twice.
What do you think people, Nicole, take it whatever one you think more people do not understand, being a military wife, being a stay-home mom, or a homeschooling mom, or a home retailer? What do you think people do not understand about what you do, and that you would like them to understand a little bit more, just so they can appreciate what it is you're doing, or at least just have a better understanding? What would you like people to understand?
I think there is a perception that I just can just do like whatever I want. And in a way, I do kind of have that freedom just because, and this isn't for every military family either,
Mm-hmm.
because there are different ranks and stuff. And we weren't always in this position where we just have some freedom financially where if I didn't have to work, if I didn't want to work, I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the perception of, well, she just stays at home and just doesn't do anything, while her husband goes to work. And this is like outside military people, like
Mm-hmm.
civilian world. The sitting on the couch eating the bonbons watching the soap operas while her children run wild. I think there's that perception sometimes. Also, like, even I think maybe with my husband sometimes, the perception of, what do you do all day? And I'm like, well, can I just show you a day where I don't do anything, and then you get to see what I do all day? um so, and that's not to bash my husband
No,
there,
no. Hey, I'm
but
guilty of that too. Like, honey, what were you doing today? I mean, probably you too. Keeping the house clean. The house seems always clean, but it's not magical. Like something, and it's not just the house. Like if there's dinner made, the kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it's always that way. As husbands, as Cliff and
yeah,
I'll say, maybe not the rest of the husbands, we can think, well, it's always this way. So what else were you doing? No, this is what I
yeah,
was doing. This is why it looks this way.
yeah. What else? I don't know. I would say, as um even as an outsider, being like a homeschooling family, um just the perception of, well, maybe you think you're better than I am because your kids can't go to your kids don't go to school. I even there was it can go both ways too, because I was really afraid to take my kids out of public school to homeschool them, because the perception of um, them thinking that maybe I just didn't want to get up to take my kids to school and I just want to like sleep in all day. That was something that affected me for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was so afraid to go up to the office and fill out the paperwork, and I was just like a little schoolgirl. Like, but just, I don't know, having people in your corner, having people, a community of people that, think like-minded like you, is very helpful and keeps those misconceptions at bay, I think, sometimes too.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's some of those perceptions out there, but listening to you or knowing any other person that does what you do, whether it's homeschooling or stay home spouse or have your own business at home, that stuff eats up time, and time means that you're being productive. How do you stay
Mhm.
productive, Nicole? How do you stay motivated? What keeps you going in spite of the difficult,
Um, what keeps me going?
besides coffee
Knowing,
and tea?
I know. Well, with, I guess I could like do a couple different categories, like as a mom, as a homeschooler, homeschooling mom, as a retailer. So what keeps me going as a mom, knowing that my kids one day are not going to be with me anymore.
Mm,
I don't know. I think it's just a really profound thing to just understand and to think and to grasp. Like, I don't know if other people think this way, but I mean, I hope they do. But just knowing that, like, they're not going to be with me for forever, like, and that what I can instill in them or provide for them to help them be even just a better person in life, like, that that motivates me. That helps me go. And I'm not saying every day's perfect, because there are days that, dang, I want to sleep in and I don't care. We're not doing homeschool today, like,
yeah.
and I'm not a productive person, because life just happens, and you know, but and then with homeschooling, just like I mentioned before, just seeing just them succeed in their homework or making a good grade on their test, and just seeing, like, even doing like science experiments and stuff together, and just seeing like that connect and their like eyes light up and stuff like that. I think even just teachers in general at school can connect with kids that way, and that's something that brings them like
To
joy
work,
and
yeah.
makes them able to do their jobs even more. um, but to experience that is really nice. And then as just a retailer, because there's been plenty of times I've been in a funk and not worked my business, and have seen the results of that, no income coming in,
Mm,
but working the business, even working the business and not making any money, but making connections and stuff like that has is brings me a lot of joy. um it's so, even though it's just clothing and it seems vain and it's just makeup and skincare, it just, there's something about just a woman feeling confident and like wanting something more better for herself,
mhm.
even if it's just looking better in a pair of leggings, or washing her face at night with skincare, or putting on some really good mascara, um, and her feeling more confident in being a better wife, because she wants to be more presentable for her husband. Not that you have to, but those are things that matter. I think,
Yeah.
I think it's, I think that's important. And so,
Well,
yeah,
for
I would
that
say,
also, Nicole, that is something that's your own, right? The thing you do for your husband is with your husband. The things you do with your kids, that's for your kids. But the retail business, this is your own little thing that you could kind of push people away,
yeah,
and this is your own little thing as well. So it's for you and to give you a little break from what you do on a regular basis.
yeah, it is nice. So it's kind of like Cliff gets to come home from work. I kind of go do my work to
Hmm.
get away from like the home.
Yeah.
Not that
Well,
the
Cliff
home's
has his
bad,
hobbies
but
too,
like,
right? And kids have their hobbies
yeah,
too, right? We
yeah,
know
yeah,
Cliff has hobbies. He likes
yeah,
fixing things and stuff.
yes, he's the fixer.
Yeah, so those things keep you productive. Pick something, I guess, whatever it is. What is the favorite thing you like to do? Like, so I guess interior design, you would have liked, pencils and, textual things. But what's the favorite tool that you use in all of the work that you do? It could be a tool or just, it could be something as simple as talking your tongue or computer, or what is something you
Hmm.
like to use the most?
I guess you could say my hands.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
if I think about it, I do so much. There's so much I love to do that involves my hands, like my brain, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, those seem like just kind of given answers, but um, like I enjoy cooking. I enjoy even
Hmm.
though that's part of like taking care of my family. Like, I love to like
No, you're a great
bake
cook. I know that for sure.
and like make things for people, like bake things for people, cookies, cakes, whatever, even food, like, and I don't make just a little bit of food. I make like a bunch of food. So I gotta like share it. And so I enjoy doing that. I crochet, and that's something I really enjoy doing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually been able to provide money for the family doing that too. So yeah, I would think my hands.
For my show, Why We Work, Nicole, I like to try to give people advice and encouragement and just some tips. Do you have a top tip that you would have for anyone getting into work or changing their career, or life just slapped them in the face and they're dealt with something different? Do you have some advice for a tip for someone just getting into work or changing careers?
Oh man, I would say my best tip would be, I don't know, just taking it one day at a time. If you, it's hard because, moving all the time for me, just like remembering who I am. So remember who you are, um, and remember your passions, um, and know what you're good at, and be confident in what you're good at. I mean, it is easy to let that small voice in the back of your head, I like to call it the enemy sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
just that self-doubt creep in. It's easy to let self-doubt creep in, especially when you're going into a new place or a new job, and you may or may not be familiar with how things go. But I think if you're just confident in what you know and what you've learned in your whatever, if you went to college, um, just being confident in what you were taught and what you're good at. And that's actually helped me with, because I've even second guessed myself thinking I'll never be able to do interior design because it's been
Mm-hmm.
10 plus years since I've graduated, and so, but I know that I'm good at it, and it's something that I love to do. So if you know you're good at it and you'll love it, just continue keeping that confidence and trust yourself and trust your abilities. I think that would be my tip.
I believe you have a portfolio that you once showed us, correct? You do have a
Yeah,
you still have that, Carrie?
I do.
Or do you do? I mean, you only have
It's
7 years before we're looking at retirement. And I don't mean it, but yeah, I mean, we are looking at retirement. So you guys are going to build a house so you could start your
yeah.
architectural passion with your interior design knowledge and put them together and make sure that that new home has an extra um, a room for us to come visit quite often.
Yeah, we're just gonna have a mother-in-law suite
A
for
mother-in-law suite. That's it.
whoever wants to come.
So on
And
this, go ahead.
no, that was it. That was it.
So on the side of doing all that you do, how do you balance that out? I know it's kind of a reprieve to do your retailing business. It kind of gets you a little bit out on your own. But how do you balance with the rest of your life to find enjoyment in things that you like, or what are some things that you like to do besides the work that you do?
Um, it's not too bad. I mean, it can get kind of annoying because I sometimes have to go off of Cliff's schedule
Mm,
and like working, especially if you want to do things like as a family. But so let's say we'll just keep Cliff out of it because this is about me, right? No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
absolutely. No, well, you're right though. It is. But what do you do? What is it you like to do? I mean, coffee
Um,
and tea is
I
always enjoyable. A movie is nice.
Yes, always. I mean, always coffee and tea with friends is always something that's very catching up. Uh, I enjoy going to the park with the kids. Just for myself, I just really enjoy spending fun quality time with my friends. Whether that's just going and watching a movie together. One thing that I just love doing just this past year is just playing Monopoly Deal with my friends. and
What's
just
Monopoly Deal?
like letting the kids. It's like a card version of Monopoly, and it's the best game ever.
Okay, I never heard of it before. I mean, I love Monopoly. We used to play for money when we were kids, like real money. And I didn't do it
It's
often.
like
I lost.
you can play it in like 15 minutes. So it's not like a 4 or 5 hour Monopoly
Hmm.
game.
Hmm.
So, but it's still fun. It's still like vicious. You can really make people mad. And I'm very competitive when it comes to games. So, we love getting out and, going to the beach because we only live, barely 2 hours away. And so, and then any other just like extracurriculars that I like to do, whether it's women's Bible study, or meeting a friend, outside of like the church environment and stuff like that. So, definitely it's different, looks different during the summer than it does during school year with the kids, but, it's it's kind of nice because it also can get overwhelming feeling like I need to be
Hmm.
able to have this certain amount of time with every friend. And so
Hmm.
it's been nice. Okay, the weekends, Fridays and the weekends, and sometimes a day or two during the week after school, we'll do friend time. And it's really nice because my friends have kids at similar ages of my kids. And so it's nice too because they're friends. And so play dates are nice. Um, so
It sounds like you do have a good balance, but we always wish we had a little bit more of that balance, a little bit more of that
mhm.
time. It kind of eludes us. If you think back of when you first got that job at 14 in the daycare, or as you moved out to California and had some opportunities after college to design someone's kitchen or bathroom, what is one thing that you wish you knew then before starting work that you'd like other people to consider before they get into work?
um, what did I wish I knew then? Hmm, that's a good question. Um, how do I want to word this? Probably that um, I think once I make a commitment to something, like I make a commitment to this woman to design her kitchen or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was going to be, that like I need to have follow through. I think like keeping my word,
Mm-hmm.
showing up, like being a responsible person. I think I was that then, but even at like 14 and working at the daycare, um, like you have to show up, or like it doesn't just affect your life, it affects the lives around you. Like there are expectations of people around you. And so if I'm supposed to be, at my daycare at 8 o'clock and I don't show up, then somebody who drops their kid off, they can't get to their work on time, and so it can be like a ripple effect. And so I think just like being, I guess, dependable,
Mm-hmm.
um, and sticking to it. And once like a commitment is made, then like sticking through it until like things obviously change, like people move or something, but like you can do like your 2 weeks notice and stuff like that. So like that's different. So
Integrity is
I
important.
don't know.
No, it's good. No, it's
Yeah.
right. I Out of my interviews, no one said that. It's integrity is important, and we should be instilling that in our children and reminding young people that it's important because they lead to other habits in life.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, what is a mistake that one of the biggest mistakes you've ever made that you've learned from?
Oh, does this mean I'm human?
Well, it's not did you ever
uh,
make a mistake? It's what's one of the biggest mistakes you've made I know a gentleman awoke. I had the question and he said his answer, and it reminded me of my own biggest mistake. And that's just when I thought I found a truth in life that I felt that everyone had to know, and I felt everyone must know it. And if they don't know it now, they're wrong and they're in trouble. And my approach to it um, burned a lot of bridges. So that was probably one of my biggest mistakes in life, of just trying to be so militant in the way I approached
Mm.
this particular thing. And so that was a big mistake that I learned, that, just pull back the reins and understand, even life lessons is life will be presented differently than what we really think it will be. So, we can't always
Mm.
plan. So that was for me, just to give you an idea of
Mm.
mistakes. How many have I made today already? So, but what's one that has taught you a lesson?
Um, well, I a couple of years ago, I was not in a very good place. N- just probably mentally, spiritually, my marriage, all of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I won't go into like serious detail.
Yeah.
But I probably one of the biggest mistakes was I was just not who I knew I needed to be. I was involved in Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christian recovery program. And I was actually leading several of the classes. And I was also basically kind of living a lie. I was going out and drinking in bars and just living another life,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would leave my house at night, and when all the kids are asleep and Cliff was asleep, and I would just go hang out with my friends and drink. And
Yeah.
my biggest mistake with that is, and it's recently gotten better, but so that was my biggest mistake. But the what I've learned from it is
Mm-hmm.
that like everybody's always watching, especially your children. And my kids would often, after God got a hold of me again, and I just ch- changed back to who I was and who I
Mm-hmm.
am. Um, my kids just like, "Are you coming back, Mom? Like, are you leaving again?" And so me thinking that I was hiding what I was doing, um, was very like, no, like like even my kids were seeing that I was gone and that I was different and that I was distanced, you know. Um, and so learning that, so what I learned that is um, that my children and my family is more important than just stupid, selfish stuff. I'm not saying like there's, I don't have, what is the word I'm trying to think of? Like, I don't deserve, like, I really don't deserve anything, but like, I can, I still can be selfish sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, because well, we're all human and we all want some time alone sometimes, but, just, I learned healthier ways to handle life and frustrations and being a mom and being a wife to a man who's in the military. And so and I've learned what just what forgiveness is, and what just grace is, and just that people who are there for you and love you are really there for you. That's the biggest mistake. And I'm just grateful, um, and just learning that people are just always watching.
Mm-hmm.
And especially just being a follower of Christ, um, I don't know, I feel like I have an example to set. And so, especially to my babies, you know, and so, I mean, definitely a learning experience. Um, I can say I'm happy I did what I did, but I'm not happy what I did. I mean, I'm happy I've come through it and have learned from it. And God can use that to, you know, as part of his story for my life. So, but yeah.
Well, it's funny. A lot of thoughts are going through my head, and it's my my downfall of learning to listen versus trying to say
Mhm.
something to what someone's saying. Is it reminds me when, I don't know, 20 years ago, I was driving a limousine, and there was a guy who worked in my company, and he was gray on top, and so he was 60 something at least, and
Mm,
this my life was totally different then, but I always remembered he said this because there's a lot of guys out there, and we call it the pit, the people who wait for to pick up rides. You're just
mm,
waiting at the airport. And he was telling about he quit smoking 20, 30 years before that. And he's like, I used to smoke a pack a day. He was a really nice, kind, older man, I remember.
mm,
And he said, do you know what I did? I don't know if it was the other day, whatever it was, but the other day he goes, I woke up in a panic. He goes, well, I used to smoke 1 pack, 2 packs, 3 packs a day. And I always kept the, the pack of cigarettes right close to my heart, in my pocket on my chest. He said, just the other night, I woke up in a cold sweat and I start looking around. I was trying to feel for my smokes. He goes, you know what? 20, 30 years later, the temptation doesn't go away. He goes, I don't smoke, right?
mm,
But 20, 30 years later, it's still hanging on to me. And it made
mm,
me think of something else as well of, and growing up, I knew of people who drank. And before I even say this, I feel I should say I have no problem with people smoking. I have no problem with people drinking. Not at all. Like,
mm,
if I so choose, even myself, I haven't drank in 12 years. This is 2020. The last time I drank was, and this is not good on me, is 2008. My dear wife got in a little fight. I couldn't even tell you what it was about. And I'm gonna go, and this is in Korea, so you can buy beer, whatever you want, in any local convenience store, just for a
mhm,
buck or something. So I bought like what we would say in Canada is a tall boy, a couple of tall boys,
mhm,
like 10 tall boys. I mean, like not just one. And I think I bought some smokes, and I went to the little hill that was in front of our apartment, and she found me, and she's like, if you're gonna drink and smoke, I'm gonna drink and my dear wife, a little spitfire. And I was like, no, because she's the worst drinker. She's allergic to it, so it has the worst effect on her. I'm like, no. So I didn't drink.
well,
I think from that I learned the best thing, because I have no problem with drinking. I might drink again, but I just haven't drank since. Is my biggest problem. And growing up, I always saw people around me drinking to escape the problem. But I know there's
mhm,
people out there who drink to enjoy a drink. There are
mhm,
people, I believe, that can just have a beer or a glass of something. I mean, there is that, if you have the ability to turn on, turn off the faucet of one drink is not 20, because some people can't, because
mhm,
that's just their problem that they have. And so drinking, I don't have a problem. And some people, some beliefs, some things is like, never drink, never smoke.
mhm,
I don't have any problems with tobacco, as silly as it sounds. I have no problem with other things that people do, like especially if it causes people to go to jail for. I'm like, I don't know. But for alcohol, I grew up in an environment where it was always escapism. It was always to escape.
mhm,
And then, in what you're saying, it reminded me of growing up in people that I knew, people that I knew. Um, I mean, you're all okay to say about yourself, but I won't say anything about anyone else in particular. Uh, is I could whiff. So kids are wise, right? Kids can
mhm,
sense, okay, as an example, I don't know anything about how you react, but but mama's in a good mood today. She must be thinking about what she's going to do in a few minutes. Like they have that perception of whiffing that out. Not only do they have
Yeah.
a perception of whiffing it out before it comes, is certainly when it's already happened. Oh yeah, we know where mom, because mom does, we're really, incapable of changing our patterns, and especially if it's going to be into
Yeah.
something um, like, just say going to a bar. Like, okay, well, you're going to wear this makeup, or you're going to wear those clothes, or you're going to, whatever it is, they can whiff it out. And so I always could whiff that out the day before. Like, not because one, you knew the day it was going to happen, because it wouldn't happen on this day, or it wouldn't happen at this time. It's never going to happen then. But this, after this sort of thing, if it's going to happen today, it's going to happen now. So then as a kid, I could take advantage of those things, right? Like hold it against someone or try to get something from it. And that's how I played that game my whole life. So yeah, you're right. The kids will see that. And and it goes back to, why do it? Well, if it's not escapism, then you're perfectly fine. Then you don't need to hide it, right? If it's escapism,
Yeah.
then you go back to finding out why, and if it's needed. And for me, for my wife and I, when I fought, it was escape. I'm just getting out of this, and I'm just going to go drink. And back to the man with the cigarettes, I still have that like any fight, I'm going to just go get drunk. As if like I got drunk enough in my lifetime to know that it never makes things better. It
Okay.
always makes things worse.
Yeah.
Whether it's just like being 40 something and just feeling worse, let alone doing something even more stupid or idiotic or saying something. So I commend you on saying that. I certainly know you're not the only one. And the word I would say is the temptation of all of that. And life is tough, Nicole. That's why I'm like, man, I'm glad some of those drugs that are around nowadays weren't around when I was a kid, because sign me up, right? And those things are addictive, and like some people can't turn around
Yeah.
from some of those. So it's because life sucks
Yeah.
sometimes, or a lot.
Sometimes.
Or if we wear the
Yeah.
wrong glasses, it always sucks, because we have the
Yeah.
wrong attitude towards what's going on in our life, and we think it should be different because this way or this way, or there's some external things that are going on that are forcing us to think, well, because it does
Yeah.
suck. Like if you're, I don't know, if you're living in some communist country and everyone's abusing you, it's horrible. That's external. Internal is something going on in your mind you can't get
Yeah.
over. Then we're abusing ourselves, and then you have those conflicts going on that drives us to drink, as they say. So I don't think
Yeah.
alcohol is bad. I really don't think alcohol is bad. And maybe one day, just my dear wife and I will sit down and have a glass of wine. She just can't drink, which I think is good, because maybe we would drink more often if we matched our fighting with our drink. So no, I think that's really good that you'd be willing to say that. And those are mistakes that we learn from, right? And if we have, a higher purpose, or if we have a more solid foundation to stand on, and to know that we have people to talk to, like those are all helpful ways. But I would be careful saying like, I can't drink. Maybe you can't, right? Maybe you
Right.
can't. But not like that was the bad thing I was doing. Maybe, going out in the middle of the night, your camera disappeared there.
Oh,
Going out in the middle of the night, no one knowing, and going when everyone's asleep. And but if it's like, okay, kids, mom's going out and it's under control. I'm not going to go do X, Y, Z. I'm just going to go out with my friends.
yeah.
That is not, I don't think, the most horrible part. I think the most horrible part is
Yeah.
like bubbling over and making it a secrecy sort of thing. So that's all I got to say about that. So I think I commend you for acknowledging that, and I hope you the best in that. But I think one thing is talking about it and realizing what you were doing, and separating some of the issues, like versus
Mhm.
like this
Oh yeah,
whole
for sure.
thing was an issue. No, this thing that maybe led you to do it, but not the whole. Going out with your
Right.
friends once in a while. I mean, as long as I guess you and your husband eventually agree on that and it's okay, then fine.
Oh yeah.
But to hide it from your
Mhm.
kids whiff that out like nothing. Like, Mama, I went to the room and I saw the car drive away. Where were you? Oh no. And then it leads to a lie. And, those things are just messy.
Oh
Thank
yeah.
you, Nicole, for this. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add as a way of encouraging listeners, like even knowing your own experience growing up with triplets and a brother who
Oh
was just
man.
a little bit older, and you said a little hard times and life slaps you in the face. And honestly, life still slaps us in the face, even when we find
It really
something that we believe in, and life can be tough daily. Even if you said money is not really a problem, and you have this and that and the other, but still, like, you look at people in Hollywood, they seem like they have it all, but we all know they don't.
Mhm.
Is still life crumbles and is crumbling. So
Yeah.
do you have some encouragement you can offer to my listeners about work in general, or just how they can perceive their work through life?
I think and we didn't talk a lot about my backstory, but just just from the way I grew up and to where I am now, um, I think I would say you never know like where life is going to take you. I think if you can just be confident and flexible enough that if things change and if a new door opens or a window closes, if you are, flexible enough and confident enough and trusting in, for me, God, for whoever else is listening, your higher power, I think, um, I think you'll make it. And I mean, if anyone can say that they've made it, I've made it. And I think I've been one of those people who've been through a lot in life. And, um, you just never know. You never know where life's going to lead. And I don't know, just trusting and, yeah, being confident. And yeah, I think that would be the best
I interviewed
last
a friend from high
thing
school,
I
and
could say, maybe. Yeah.
I interviewed a friend from high school, and she used this word, so it's not going to ever leave me. And it's just a word, like, especially as an architect, like linear. So from A to B. I think a lot of us get so caught up in the idea that, and it's proposed to us, it's purported to us, it's kind of promised to us that if you do this stuff, you will get to here, you'll get from A to
Mhm.
B. And nobody's life is linear.
No.
But every child that gets off of the childhood life into the adult life, that's a big generalization, but the idea is that we all hope it will be. And regardless of
Mm.
how much we hope it will be, like a corona will hit, a war will hit, a cancer will hit, someone will die,
Mhm.
you'll lose a friend, people break up, you have these emotional problems, you have these physical problems,
Mm.
and nowhere is that part of the real plan. And I think as long as we
Yep.
can realize that, and this is what I believe you're saying, is as life happens, and most of the
Mhm.
times that affect us, it's not like, oh, this year I won the lottery. Next year I won a free trip to Rome. And guess what? Oh, all my best friends came over and lived with me and we didn't fight. It's not like one wonderful thing after another.
Mhm.
It's never that way. It's one
Mm.
mishap, one mistake, one horrible thing, one tragedy after another. And those are the things I think you're alluding to, is that we need to trust that it's okay. right?
Yeah.
And as tragic as
And
losing a mother, as tragic as
yeah.
abusive relationships or whatever, try
Mhm.
as hard as it is to find the good in it, to find something good in
Yeah.
it, what good can come out of it, even if, as you said, mentioning higher, trusting your higher power, that there is something good that will come out of it for you, even if the
Mhm.
worst, if you lose everything, and at least you can give some advice to somebody else of what path not to follow because of the mistakes you have made.
Mhm. Yeah, and just getting up, a verse that I even have tattooed. It's a Bible verse I have tattooed on my leg, Romans 8:28. God, and we know that God works through all things for good to those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And there's a little bit more that goes on with that, but the thing that I have come to learn and accept about that is it's gotten me through a lot through I didn't mention this before, but I was paralyzed when I was 9. So like getting through that, getting through, being homeless, getting through I was in an abusive relationship, getting through moves, 7 moves in the military, like it is sometimes devastating leaving friends that you've come to know and love and trust for like 3 years, and then moving and then, losing my mom, but like seeing the good in all of that and choosing to get up every day
Mhm.
and just face the day, I think is powerful.
How can people reach you, Nicole Fortner? If someone wants to reach you, whether it's for your business or homeschooling or how to be a stay-at-home wife in the military, or they just want to connect with you because they have
Uh,
some similar interests.
I got Facebook, I got Instagram, I got email. Um, do you
I'll
want me
link
to
some.
say those out loud right now?
You can, if it's up to you. I'll find some of them and link them into the YouTube channel as well as when it goes on the podcast host. One final question, Nicole Fortner.
Mhm.
Why do you work?
uh, why do I work? um, because I have to. I don't know. Like,
Well,
it
and it's
just
not
it's
why do you
hard.
work
It's just
perfectly, it's
I don't know. It's because it's who I am. So I work because of who I am. So I can't do. I couldn't do teaching. I couldn't do being a wife. I couldn't do being a mom if it wasn't for who I am. And so I work for because of who I am, but I work for just the benefit of my children and my family and my husband and the people around me. So if I wasn't doing what I was doing, then I don't think, not that God can't do great things, but I don't think that, my kids would be learning the way they're learning, and I wouldn't be affecting women's lives the way that I'm affecting women's lives, and I wouldn't be the wife to my husband that I am. And so um, it's a choice. It's who I am, and I just have to.
well, Nicole Fortner, I know you, and I know that with 3 children, being a military wife, a wife of the beloved Clifford Fortner, having a retail business, and all of our own imperfections, if we push those aside, that you are doing a great job. So I'd like you to know
Well, I
that you are appreciated across the world over in South Korea, and you met and make a lot of friends very happy by who you are and what you do.
well,
So
super
so do not be
I appreciate
discouraged.
that.